Hi there. This is my Wonder Watts generator, and I'm going to test it out. So come with me. Alright, here we go. So, I'm going to test my Wonder Watt generator. I have it hooked up to a GX35 style engine right now. This is basically just a weed whacker engine. It has a maximum output of about 1.3 horsepower, and it's going to turn here. Right now I have it set up so there is a fuse of 40 amps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it on, and then I'm just going to check the voltage using this, and the voltage will drop the more power we pull from it, but you might even be able to hear the RPMs drop as time goes on. But I'm going to test the voltage, and then I'm going to power on a fan, just a small one, plugged into a USB, and then I'm going to plug in another fan, and then I have this inverter here, which is made for higher level power, which I can also plug into the Anderson socket right here, and I have yet another fan. And if all that works, then I am also going to try and charge my laptop at the same time. I have the cable for it right here. It's what I'm recording on. Alright, I'm going to put in ear protection, and here we go. It's starting in 3, 2, 1. Turn on the inverter. Okay, I'm going to plug in the inverter. Fan number 3 is spinning. Alright, so what you just saw was my engine started to melt a little bit, so I'm only going to have one more crack at this. I'm going to do the big fan first, and then try and power up the other stuff quickly, just to show that it can be done. I can't keep it continuous though, because this is just a prototype, cheap plastic, it's not going to hold up, so here we go. so I got these three. Everything was powered on. It was just having trouble doing it continuously, and I stopped because it is seriously melting through. Something actually hit me on the side that flew off. So, successful test, but I can't do any more. Thanks. Sorry, it got a little dark out. But you saw me test this twice, and it was working pretty well. However, there's a couple problems with it, one of which I can mitigate but not quite solve. So this is just a prototype. This connection right here is a little loose, and that is because this was printed out of steel. It will ideally be made out of aluminum, but it got printed a little big, so I had to sand some stuff off, and the fit isn't quite right, so it wiggles a little bit. The second is it got melted. So not ideal, but this was just a plastic backing. In the next model, which I'm working on, I'm going to have an aluminum plate. That won't happen. It was always meant to be an aluminum plate. This was just for testing. And it has a much more secure ball bearing. So this will be very, very stable. And without it rotating around so much, there won't be a lot of energy transfer. Things will run much, much more smoothly. Otherwise, this was also 3D printed plastic, and weirdly, I haven't had a problem with it. However, realistically, it is still the worst material possible for this. Still, haven't had a problem. So in the next model, I am going to try and do the best material I can, which will be a urethane that is very shock absorbent. It's made to be shock absorbent for a really long time. So ideally, that is a piece you would never have to replace. But I was able to get all my components powered up. I just couldn't sustain it because this is unregulated voltage. So one thing I'm not super thrilled with, it's something you need like a buck converter to help stabilize completely. You may have to play around with the throttle just a little bit, but ideally what you do is you just get it up to about 5,000 RPM, just a regular working voltage or working RPM. So you just pull the trigger, and that should get you close to where you need to go, and then you may need to fine tune a little bit. And the problem I was running into was it wasn't quite in the range for long enough. It would start to pull and then the voltage would drop. It's a very common problem. However, since this is directly driven, when the system is stabilized, that is much less of a problem. So, hope you enjoyed the test, and I hope you come back to see the next version, which will be awesome.